So, Shayna, welcome back. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming back for part two of our chat.
So, where will we go now?
I think our last one we ended up on aliens.
Yeah, and I was just like, why not? Who knows what is out there?
Who knows what we are? Who knows
Exactly.
where we've come from? Did we just come and did our soul just like ping into our mum's bellies?
Or like we, I mean, this is how we ended, isn't it? We only know what we've been told. That is it.
Yeah. And when you think about the actual miracle of conception,
It's still, yeah,
when you actually think about that, because we kind of brush it off as the norm, don't we? You know, the Big Bang, is that what people believe, how the world got here, just by luck?
you, I, when was it? When was it last month the new telescope thingy, whatever it's called, and they started talking about what they know about the universe, and then I went on the internet and I was looking about the Big Bang, and even that, I'm like, but how do they know? How do they know? I don't get it, because isn't it all still theory and them just making assumptions? No one was there then. We don't actually know. And then my mind just like I go a bit. I have to stop myself.
Yeah, there's a really fascinating chap called Ishmael Perez. I'm going to post a link on this video. Let me write it down to remind me. And oh my goodness, if you can go on his YouTube channel and listen to some of his stuff, it will blow your mind, but it'll make you just realize how incredibly special we as humans on this planet are right now in this time where we are literally going from a three-dimensional like it's like a toxic masculine environment, you know, um, and moving beyond that to bringing back to the feminine energy and having that divine feminine, that divine masculine working perfectly together to an abundant world where it was always intended to be like. But because the earth is ascending at the same time as us as well, our consciousness is rising, you know, we're opening our minds up to what we would never have questioned in the past. And like we said on our last chat, so many more people are, you know, people that you wouldn't have even thought are now asking questions and commenting on things on social media, and you think, oh my goodness, as if you're even thinking that. It's
Yeah, like the last few days, I've been going back and remembering conversations I've had with people where I feel like they wanted to say something to me, but haven't felt they maybe should, or haven't felt right. And I'll be like, I'd love to go back now and go, just by the way, what are your thoughts on this? Because yeah, I feel like they have been around, these people have been around me, and I'm only now realizing that they
I've
probably knew or were thinking along the same lines as me
I've
now.
been so guilty of this because back in the early days, you know, when I first learned all this information, honestly, and for anybody diving into things for the first time, it's like information overload. It's like, are we being brainwashed by this information, or have we been brainwashed? And is this now the truth that we're finding? It's like, what do I believe? What's true? What's not true? And it's like, I just remember one time I just laid on my bed and just cried. I'm like, I'm so confused by all this stuff, but it feels right to me. It felt like the truth to me. So that's why I kind of pursued it. And the more I did, the more I understood, and the more I come to, you know, get to where I am now. But in the early days, I would be having conversations with people and just like dropping a few little things in there to see how,
Yeah.
you know, can I carry on this conversation? Where's their belief system at the moment? And then other people that I know really well, oh my goodness, I just spouted all this information. The world is run by satanic paedophiles and a cabal of an Illuminati, blah, 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 and everything's going to crash. And they must have thought I was completely off my rocker. But now things are coming out into the public realm. We're going to see these things, like, we're going to see them right in front of our faces. So, you know, bit of vindication there, maybe, hopefully, but
No, because you're right, it's overwhelming when if you stop and think and go, right, so my entire life has been a lie, because that is ultimately what you suddenly come to the realization of. But like you see in films, and actually it's stuff that is quite openly talked about all these um I don't know what to call them, like groups and um like what are they called? Not private member. I can't think of the name now.
Like Freemasons
Yeah,
and
things like that,
yeah,
right? Where does that fit in? Because for years people talked about weird stuff that goes on within groups like that. So if that has always been something that is talked about, why, when we talk about it on a bigger scale, do people freak out and go, well, that can't be like, no,
yeah,
because it's already been talked about for so long.
yeah, yeah. It's almost like we kind of let it happen on a lower level, but to actually it's that cognitive dissonance thing, isn't it? You believe what you believe for so long. When some other information comes along that contradicts that. So, for example, if we're now being told that the government's not actually the government, there's a much higher up hierarchy that's actually pulling all the strings. You can't believe it because your human brain can't process that because it goes in direct conflict to everything that you've believed all your life.
Yeah.
So it's
That
that.
makes sense because I suppose the other stuff that we've heard in the past is all very much secretive underground, like I don't know. Whereas the government can't be doing that because
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah,
yeah.
it's yeah.
Criminals
Someone
on our level, like we expect people to break into our houses and do bad stuff. You can expect it on a lower level, but right at the top, like right at the top, going as far as like we can touch on religions and the pharmaceutical industry, the whole education system, people right at the top of all these systems, they're all intertwined with it goes back to like 13 families who basically hold the wealth and the power and control the entire system.
I mean, the education system, surely people are, if they're not waking up to that now, the fact that it doesn't make sense, it's not made sense for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is like people, I saw again somebody else saying, right, decided to take my kids out of school. I'm going to
Yeah,
just homeschool them. So
yeah.
many people, because they know that they're not learning what it's all I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, like how where to
For me,
start.
so I've got two teenage daughters. I fully get education, read, write, maths, all of
Yeah, of
that stuff.
course. Yeah.
But you get to high school, and honestly, the stuff they are learning now, and children, they are being forced to learn about sexualities. It's almost like they're being not normalized for being normal. It's so weird that they're forced to choose what they're attracted to, what they're not attracted to. Stand in this corner if you like boys, if you like girls, if you don't know what you like. I heard an instance as well of somebody identifying as a cat or something, and weeing in a cat litter tray. Honestly, they are literally screwing with your brains, with the kids' brains. But I said to my daughters, I'm ready for them to come out. I don't give a flying monkeys about any GCSE results. All the education system is doing is teaching you to follow orders, conform,
Yeah.
regurgitate information. I
Yeah.
mean, what did we learn at school? Has that helped us in our
No.
adult career? Anybody watching this, has your education up until 16 actually helped you in your career? Because all the ladies I've coached over the past 2 years, every single one of them comes with a trauma that has held them back from stepping out to create a business, to doing something in their life. And that trauma comes back to something that they've experienced in school, in the
Yeah.
education system. We've all got confidence issues. We're all scared to stand up and speak out. We're all scared to ask questions. We're taught to conform. And really, when children come into this world, they are the most purest version of themselves.
Yeah.
You never get a baby sorry, I'm going off on a rant here, but babies, they can't walk. They fall over, they fall over, they fall over, they fall over, then they start to walk. We as adults, if we fail once, that's it. We're scared to do anything else.
Yeah, because we've been made to think
Yeah,
all these. I've put it a lot in my content actually about we're born and everything that we want and need or are feeling, it comes from within us.
yeah,
We're hungry, we're sad, we're hurt, we're tired, whatever it is, it's an inner feeling that, and then as a baby, we just make a noise, had to alert whoever, and they have to guess what is wrong with us because we can't talk to them. The minute we can talk, what happens? Like you are like you could say, right, I'm hungry. It's not lunchtime yet. You've already had a snack. You start then rules start being planted into you. You can't do that, and then before you know it, you've fallen into line, and you've lost that. You stop listening to what's going on inside because you're not allowed to.
Yeah. And this comes back, it's so interesting as well, because I'm just going on two angles here, but first, children are so full of creativity. Their imagination is incredible. Anything is impossible when you come to this world, because and when we get our memories back from before we came into this life, now we will realize that anything is possible. But because then it's just beaten out of us and beaten out of us and beaten out of us, they lose that, and then they've got to be good at geography or maths or one of the mainstream subjects. And how many kids are totally not wanting to be a professor in maths or whatever it is, and they're just kind of absolutely scrapped on the scrap heap, and then that's it, that's their destiny. Then they always feel like they're not good enough because they didn't get well on their GCSEs, and they're not as good as everybody else. And I've been there, I had exactly the same. But also, when I'm teaching people about manifestation and law of attraction, it's about having that belief that anything is possible. The very belief that we have been told that the only thing is possible is what you work hard for. You've got to work hard, you've got to get a job, you've got to do well on your GCSEs to get a really good job, to get the money to do that, to buy that. No, manifesting is about listening to what you want to do in here. Have fun, enjoy every day, appreciate everything. And children have it until the education system.
They're just like you say, it's just this pure mind and soul and everything that's not yet been tampered with, I guess, because that is what happens.
It's crackers.
Like I just suddenly thought, then it's like we see it in films and stuff, like, oh, I had an imaginary friend, or I saw children that see things. They probably do, because their mind isn't so conditioned, and like they're open. They are open to seeing. And then you hear all these stories about young children that have connected with like people, spirits that have passed, because they can get connected. It's that soul level thing. I believe that. Definitely believe that.
I never did until recently, but it's like, again, it's the cognitive dissonance, isn't it? It's absolutely perfectly normal for us all to believe that cats are on a different dimension, or dogs or animals can see things, or they can sense things. But yet when we talk about us having that connection, or children being able to see things or different dimensions, and then we think about, what about night terrors? When children are young and they wake up crying, what are they seeing that we're not? Because we only see what we only perceive. We only think we see what we can perceive through our eyes and nose. So now, if we believe that there's nothing else around us other than what's physical in front of us, then we're only ever going to see that. But if we believe that, this is a multi-dimensional place where we are, with multiple timelines and multiple realities all working together. And that is like crazy to get your head around. And even though I'm saying that, I'm like, I don't understand it, but it's bonkers. But there's so much more out there, everything's vibration. We can only see what's on our vibration at the moment, and we can only realize that. But as we open our mind, open our consciousness to the possibilities.
It's just about being open. Like you said, kids have got more open. Their minds are more open, and then eventually they get shut down. We get shut down. But the people that maybe find that openness again, or people that always kept, managed to hold on to it, people that can see things, or they do say they see spirits, and people just like laugh about, and laugh it off. It can't be real. Why not? Just because you're not thinking it. And I never told you this, but I had this weird experience back in March, I think it was, when I was home alone, and I 100% think my gran came to like tell me that she was here. Like a series, no, not just one thing, a series of events happened, and it was weird that somebody said to me, ask her, speak to her, just say, if that is you, send me a signal. And she did. I swear to God, when this thing happened, I wasn't scared. I was absolutely over the moon. I was like crying, because I was like, oh my God, she's actually here. I fully believed it, that she was there.
I've got
listening on me.
a similar story. I've got to share it with you now. I don't think I've told you this. I don't think I have, because I've hardly told anyone. So back in 2019, before any of this, my dad was living with me because he'd gone through his divorces. He was going through depression and loads of different stuff. So he came to live with us. And he was a very religious man. I was always brought up Christian in the church, always really strict. We went through every single denomination of Christianity, like Methodist, Church of England, Baptist, Pentecost, you know, everything, because he just didn't settle. He just went through everything.
Right, okay.
And every single one that we went to, this is it, you know, you must repent, fear, you know, there's going to be a rapture and we're all going to disappear off the earth. You know, everything was fear-based. So I grew up like shitting it one day. Well, my parents are going to be raptured off the earth and I'm going to be left to die in hell. And you know what I mean? And all of this stuff. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, he died. He passed away in the beginning of February 2019. We weren't here, we were away as a family, and my dad was here. It was absolutely fine when we left. He was getting up, walking out, going out with my brother and everything, absolutely fine. And he just never spoke about the spiritual world or anything to do with spirits, anything to do with like a direct connection with source. Was like, no, everything goes through the church, all through the minister, the priest, whatever, you know, because we're kind of below everybody else. They're higher up somehow. Anyway, it was really weird because 1 week after he died, we'd come back on the day that he died and we were sorting everything out. My husband and I were in bed. It was like Saturday morning, exactly 1 week to the day that he died. I was going through pictures on my phone to send to my brother because I did quite a lot of stuff with my dad and my brother not so much. So I was sending him some pictures they had, and that, you know, like recent pictures. And my husband was still asleep. And I heard something come down the chimney. So in our bedroom, we've got like this old chimney with like an open fire. Like, what is that? So our bedroom's white, like white bedding, white walls, white everything. A bird came down, a black bird, right? I thought it was a crow, but now I realise it was a raven because it went huge.
Right, yeah.
I dived out of my bed, I dived onto the floor at my side and I shut the bedroom door because I thought I don't want it flying around the house. And I was like, right. And he fell out of bed at his side, opened up the bedroom window, like ripped open the curtain, you know, to try and get it to fly out. So we're like on the floor, like trying to shelter ourselves from this bird. And this bird just did the most peaceful 2 laps around the bedroom, landed on the windowsill and flew off. And no word of a lie, Shane, right? The bedroom's white. We've had birds come downstairs before, down the chimney. They bring soot down, they bring cobwebs down. There's twigs, everything, you know, there's crap all over the room. There was not even a single trace of anything. That was the cleanest bird, the cleanest chimney that we hadn't had chimney swept for, I don't know, 8 years or something. And I just said to Ryan, I am so glad that you are here to witness that, because nobody would have believed. And 100% that was my dad saying to me, Laura, there is something else, there's something bigger, you need to start waking up to something here. Because honestly, that was the first thing where I was like, oh my goodness, there's something beyond all of this, you know, Christianity that I was brought up to believe. Isn't that weird?
I love that though. I just like, my nan died in 99, but she lived with us. So she was, you know, grew up with my nan in the house, and my parents didn't tell us this till weeks after, but I think it was about a week after she died. And in our like culture, up until the funeral, like it's very, people come and pay their respects every day, but you kind of, the period of mourning is just like really depressing in the house. Like people just sit around quietly, you know, no TV, no nothing. You're not meant to cook. Like people have to bring you food. You can't cook for yourselves. You're not meant to do all that stuff. Anyway, after a few days, we went back to school, college, whatever. But it was before the funeral. One day, Mum, I think they were all downstairs. Mum said, or Dad told the story. So my aunts were in the house. My 2 aunties, my mum and my dad. Probably that was it. And they heard a noise. They heard, it sounded like the TV, but the TV wasn't on. And they were like, "Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from?" Went upstairs. My mum and dad at that point had this old like hi-fi system in their bedroom, but they never used it. It was just there in the corner of the room. They never ever used it, and it was on.
Oh my goodness.
And it was on an Indian radio station, and every day my mum would play the Indian radio station in the kitchen, and my mum and my nan would sit there and they'd be doing whatever they did during the day. And swear to God, my dad was like, she was telling us what, put the music back on.
Oh,
They never used it. They never, ever, ever put that on. And
yeah.
it suddenly was on.
Oh my goodness.
And like when I said what happened with me, she was turning the TV on downstairs in the middle. This is in the middle of the night. I would come downstairs to put Louis out, and the TV would be on. And that happened a few days in a row. Um, and then my friend came to stay after this, and she said she didn't tell me till the day after. She said, Shana, I felt something when I came into your house that first day. I felt a presence, but I didn't want to tell you because I thought it would freak you out. I said, oh, no, like. And then she
Mm.
said the second day we were sat on an evening chatting, and she saw some like lights around my head, like a glowing kind of thing. And the TV thing, when I shared that with somebody, they said, if that was her, ask her one night, if that was you, just make it known. And that night again, I came down, the TV was on again. And after that, it never came on. I said to her that night, I said, if that was you, thank you for showing, but you don't have to keep turning it on anymore. It never came back on. Never came back on.
Amazing, amazing. It's weird, isn't it?
It
It's so
is.
weird. I mean, some people, I know people that see things and feel things. I never have. I've always been totally closed off to it. Whenever when people get their palms read and things like that, I've just always thought, no, don't want to know anything. Don't, just
Yeah.
totally closed off. But since I've kind of opened up, and I mean, I know that I can see what's going on in the world and everything that's like everything's leading up to the big flip for like humanity waking up and realizing that there's so much more than us in this flesh body as we think. There's so much more, and we've got so many more powers as well. We are incredible. And when we get some people talk about this 12 strands of DNA which is going to be restored, because I don't know how much digging you've done, but like the chemtrails in the sky.
Yeah.
With the heavy metals, the toxins, what are in your water, your fluoride and your toothpaste, everything's basically meant to kind of keep us ill and not to live the long life that we were supposed to have. Our cells regenerate after 7 years. So why do we age? Well, we age because of all the shit that fast food. Why is it fast? Why is it so cheap? Why is it rammed in front of us? Why do we get the TV commercials of the sweets and the shit food? Why is everything processed? Why is Bill Gates going down the GMO route? Why is he buying up all of the fields in America and all? Why are farmers paid not to farm their land?
Mad. When you start connecting, like I was saying, I kept joking with my mum yesterday. We're drinking that water and we don't know what's in it, and this is why we can't see what's really happening because they're stopping us from seeing it. And she was laughing, but what like if someone said, "Oh, don't be so stupid, there's nothing in the water," my argument now would just be, how do you know? That literally is that's all I'm going to say to people from now on. How do you know?
Yeah, write to you. For anybody watching this who doubts us, write a letter to your ours is Yorkshire Water. We're in Yorkshire, but your water board, and ask them. What is it? An information freedom request.
Freedom of information request. Yeah.
Ask them what goes into it, and you will be amazed. They have to tell you what goes into it. I've followed loads of channels, and I've seen people writing, and then they literally disclose everything. There's arsenic. There's all sorts of metals and crap. Like toxic shit that goes into water. Why is it in there? Why is that in there?
It's frightening because the toothpaste thing. Somebody like the whole like fluoride thing. I remember a few years ago that I started buying a different toothpaste that didn't have it in, and then somebody said, "Oh, you shouldn't buy it." And I said, "But all of the toothpaste has it." They're like, "Yeah, there's a reason for that." So I asked my friend who was a dental nurse. I was like, "Oh, Beth, like, why? Why are people saying that?" She said, "No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's all like just for fluoride. You need it. Blah 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 blah." And I was like, very recently realised that that's because that's what they're taught. That's what they're told because it comes from.
Yeah.
They are trained They
Yeah,
don't know any different either. They are said, right, yep, this is why it's needed, this is why everybody should have it and use it. And then if you try and stray away from that, people are like, no, that you're being
yeah.
stupid. Of course you need it.
You just look on the back of your toothpaste packet, there's a warning, not for human consumption. It's toxic, it's fluoride. They use hazmat suits if there's ever any spillages or chemicals, it corrodes metals. And yet we're sticking it on our teeth. Why do they want us to corrode our teeth? Oh, is it something to do with money and having to go and get fillings and have the metals in your mouth? You know, that's that metal, that I don't know, what is it, magnesium or mercury? Is it mercury, I think? It's one of them is bad for you. I always get mixed up. But yeah, that again is another metal that's in your body and it's not great for you. But it's like, but it's really interesting what you say there, because the frontline workers are completely unaware of this. And it's the same in the medical system as well. They have been taught what they believe is right for the patients and what they believe.
They do. They go to study
Yeah,
they want to serve and help.
yeah,
So they believe by doing this and studying it, they're doing the right thing
yeah,
and they're going to tell the people. But there are the few in there that are started to realise, and you
yeah,
hear these little snippets of doctors or, medical professionals who are talking against the
yeah,
majority,
yeah.
and they get shut down or they get ignored
Yeah,
or.
yeah. There's hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds of nurses and staff that have walked out over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
All of the medical institutes, all the medical universities are all owned and funded by the Rockefellers. So you've got the Rothschild family who kind
The
of
Rockefeller. I
own.
mean, yeah. There's those.
um,
So those are the two I know about, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. But I'm assuming because there's more, or
yeah, you'll hear about George Soros as well. He basically
of
just
course, yeah,
funds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
um,
his name came up a
yeah.
lot in the last couple of years.
Yeah, but those are the ones that we know of in the public realm. I mean, there's a famous picture I've just seen. Is it Rockefeller or Rothschild? I think it's one of the Rothschilds, literally talking to Charles, or Prince Charles as he was then, like pointing at him in the chest, like, you do this, you're our puppet, you do this. But they're the ones, I think that even they are still lower down, because ultimately there's 13, they call them 13 Phoenician families. So there's 13 bloodlines, and they're the ones like right at the top. I think the Rothschilds and Rockefellers are a bit lower down, because it does go really, really far up. But it's all like, as people say quite often now, the head of the snake's been taken off. So the head of that has gone. And when they've kind of arrested a lot of people and taken people down, they've confiscated $34 quadrillion. $34 quadrillion has been confiscated from money that's been hoarded by these people. And when you think about that amount, you think about millions. You can't even comprehend how much that is, and billions, but then trillions, and then quadrillions. But basically, it equates to the everybody on earth, okay, getting their birth weight in gold and £1 million, and that's how much was confiscated from the proper evil people at the top. And that's how much in this redistribution of wealth. So we're going through a revaluation as well. So, like in America, they've got a US dollar, we've got a pound. You've got people like in Zimbabwe, and they might have 100 trillion Zimbabwe notes. We're going to be on an even playing field very soon as well. So it's going to be the revaluation. So all of that money that was confiscated in gold, and money and whatever else is going to be put back evenly across the world. Because is it Africa? They are so wealthy, but yet because the Gateses own most of the land, they've just been robbing and taking out all of the diamonds under the ground, taking all the gold away and leaving the people with absolutely nothing, leaving people starving. But yet on the media, it's like, these are philanthropists and helping them. It's like, what the fuck? Every year we look at comic relief, and seriously, we're worshipping a queen. And there's people,
when you think about especially poverty around the world, and even let's just keep it simple, on our doorstep, what is happening?
Yeah.
And how can people not question that we've got a family sat on gold, sat on all the riches that could literally get rid of all the struggles in this country? It absolutely makes no sense to me. And around the world, it's happening. There are people with so much money, and then we're watching people dying or starving to death. I can't get my head around it.
Yeah.
But it feels so that it should be so simple.
Yeah. But you've been questioning and you've opened your mind up to it. Most people are so busy in their 9 to 5 jobs in their world that they only even think about this when comic relief comes on the TV.
Oh, yeah.
Another massive trafficking and getting as much money off the people exercise, because that's another one. Red Cross is used a lot for trafficking. It's not a you know what we made out to think it is. It's absolutely vile when you look into the packages. What are they actually trafficking around the world there? And it's not aid to help people.
For a long time, for years, my family have been very wary about wanting to help and how we do, because you don't know where you're giving money. You literally do not. And a lot of the stuff my parents have done, especially in India, is gone there themselves and done, like my dad has got workers, contractors in to install wells, like because rather than going, here's some money to a charity who apparently this will be water for a family for a week, they've gone and done it themselves. And that is the only way I think you would ever know 100% where your money is going. And that's why I literally you know what, I cannot wait till I've got lots of money, because I want to physically do it myself. I'm not giving it to anybody to go, and I'm going to go out and do what I want, where I want, and help how I can.
And we're going to be able to, because with this redistribution of wealth, instead of it coming down from the top, it's going to come back from the bottom. You know, it's that saying, the meek will inherit the earth. If you are more service to others than service to self, you are going to be a part of this whole movement where we're going to be able to help people and actually, you know, empower people to create the life that they want and create a business doing what they absolutely love, you know. And going back to communities as well. So we're going to go back to like community living. Someone might be really good at growing carrots. Someone might have loads of chickens. Somebody might be really good at fixing cars. Somebody might be really good at making clothes. And going back to that whole trade thing, I'm not talking like next year. I'm just talking, but in the future, you know, where everybody's got a skill, everybody brings something to the table. It's not like,
And that's how we work together, rather than paying with made up stuff, money. We can actually we're just helping each other out by giving what we can give, and others can give us what we don't have. You know, just the whole, I can't remember what we were talking about then, but in terms of the royal family, like the Commonwealth, like was that all part of going around and like basically, let's say, just invading countries and taking what so many times, like they went to so many places and just took what they could and left countries in ruins?
I mean, I don't know if it was the royal family doing it, I don't know, but I know they're all part of the same people that
just going around the world, going somewhere, let's take control. Then if we do give it back, when they finally hear strong enough to take it back, we leave it in a mess. We take what we need from them and leave it in just states. I mean, most of the issues in countries around the world are because Britain came in and did something and left. Literally.
Absolutely. It's all about the rich getting richer and more power, and that's it. And that's what makes us different from them. Their service to self, all they're bothered about is more money and more power. And this is why they were pushing this one world government agenda, you know, like, is it Game of Thrones? Is it Game of Thrones? No, it's not. No, because I've not watched that. I watched Mockingbird. What is it? It's where they keep people in little. There's like they make people fight against each other.
The films.
Series.
Oh, you've just said Mocking.
It's gonna come to us.
Mockingjay was the second one.
Yeah.
What was the first one?
Anyway, anyone watching will know it.
Yeah, yeah. Where they all yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna drive me insane now. That
yeah.
is
There's so many. There's so.
games.
Say that again.
The Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. Yeah, yeah. So that was what's interesting now is because, like I said, there's the White Alliance behind the scenes. You'll see more and more things coming out that actually is how is reality. There's loads of films that have been brought out over the past couple of years where you think, oh my goodness, that's weird, that makes sense. Is that real? But this is one of the laws of the universe is free will. I think I mentioned it when I spoke to you before. And the dark side, these people, they have to tell us what they're going to do. They have to disclose what they're going to do. And the way they do that, they created Hollywood. We're going to make all these films. It's all fiction. It's not fiction. It's actual reality. Yeah. It's like when the pandemic came out, there was them films that have been already out, pandemic. Yeah. Before 9/11, there was something, what was it? Oh, do you know what? I can't remember, but there was a picture of George Bush in Epstein had a picture of George Bush playing with 2 Jenga towers with a paper aeroplane. And then before Titanic, back in the 1898 or something, that something happened which kind of showed them what they were going to do with the Titanic. It kind of showed them, but you don't put it together because you think, how can anyone be that sick? How can anyone actually plan that and do that? It's completely and utterly like bonkers.
Isn't it weird how we are so open to believing some things but not others? Like that thing, people are going to be like, of course they didn't plan the Titanic, that's ridiculous. And then we would talk about World War II and Hitler and whatever. People believe that. I mean, he planned that. It was like this is what we're going to do. And because we saw that happen, well, we didn't, but the world eventually figured out what happened. That's believable. So why isn't other stuff believable? It's just because we don't see that as bad people.
But dig deeper on the world wars as well. Were they planned? Were they funded by the same person?
Well, yeah, wars are. I've always felt like they don't just come out of thin air. That there's something behind.
Yeah. So if you owned Germany, for example, and I owned England, for example, and we had you wanted a bit of my land and I'm getting a bit pissed off, we'd sit down and talk, wouldn't you? I always thought this. Why do you bring 2 countries in to a war? If you're nice, normal people at the top of them and you want the best for your people, you'd get an agreement where you can work together and trade together and do whatever together. But for it to go that far where you're bringing so many lives into it and killing so many people, that's just absolutely bloody horrific. And even going back to some of those decisions that were made, I mean, I'm not a historian, I ain't got a clue what happened in the wars, I'm absolutely crap at all of that, but what I've realised now is, or what I've come to learn, is that it was all completely orchestrated by the people right at the top. Yes, Hitler had headed up Germany and whoever in England, but we've not got the whole picture. I don't know what the whole picture is, but there's so much more to that story than what we're told. It's absolutely bonkers. But I think as part of the disclosure, we will get a lot more truths and a lot more information. And it's just going to blow people's minds. But like you said before, just being in a place of not knowing, just releasing what we think we know, everything that we've been taught, releasing all that history. Oh my goodness, there's a documentary called, it's by a guy called Ewan something. And have you ever noticed, just going off on a complete different tangent here, have you ever thought, some of the architecture across the world, they are amazing cathedrals, buildings, beautiful artwork, even the pyramids, and you think, hang on a minute, if we're supposed to be the most advanced civilization,
how did they do that? Yeah.
Oh, there were slaves. Really 3-ton bricks to build a pyramid?
Yes, it was all solid. Like, I've been to the Taj Mahal more than once, and that is solid marble, like huge, like, and they're like, oh, they got animals. No, this, sorry, something it just absolutely makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then the story is that, he didn't want anyone to create anything the same, so he cut off all the workers' hands. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the story behind it. I don't know, but some of the buildings out there, the old palaces,
Yeah.
the architect, not just the architect, but how it, well, yeah, architecture, but some of the stuff they've got working, like to get the water flowing into the building, stuff that no machine, we cannot even comprehend how they would have done that back then
Yeah.
without the science and the technology. They didn't have that yet. They managed to get running water automatically without pumps and things flowing this. I don't know.
It
Mad.
does make sense.
Absolutely mad.
And then when you go into cities, like we're in England, if you go into cities and you'll see big church and town halls and stuff, have you ever noticed, now if you haven't noticed, next time you go into the city, have a look, but you know, like when you go to ground level, so you've got your street, but then you've got windows that go lower than ground level. And you've got,
Some of the buildings, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah. The old buildings were,
yeah.
yeah.
And then you've got like the tops of doors. And then they go down deeper. And then if you watch this documentary, it's like a 5-hour documentary, but oh my goodness, it is so fascinating. It talks about mud floods, like a reset in the 1800s. Like, and it's like with the fall of Atlantis as well. I mean, I don't know what the official narrative is about Atlantis, but I have seen so many things now where we've seen back in the in the 1800s, even people using electricity. There was Nicholas Tesla who siphoned electricity from the atmosphere, from the ether, to create things that were all hush hush, because another thing they can charge us for, electricity. But that's going to be coming back, is free electricity, because it's there. And a lot of people say that the spires on some of these old buildings as well were there made to siphon electricity out of the ether. And that's why when you look at a bird's eye view of a church, it looks like it's got almost set out like a battery with a generator area and something else, because it's getting the electricity and then it's pumping it out. And when you say about music as well, energy healing, music heals, frequency heals, water heals. So the water, all of the old castles and stuff had the water around it, because that's what fed into the villages and things. But also, you know, the shapes of the windows on churches are always weird. The music went out and the sound frequency healed people as well and kept their vibration high. And I'm not talking, you know, World War I, World War II, back in the history that we're taught it. I'm talking about history that's all completely hidden from us, with these advanced civilizations which were wiped out. And then we come here with all these amazing buildings and these stories about these people that, you know, had their hands chopped off. But yeah, apparently we're supposed to be the most civilized, but the most advanced version of humanity that there's ever been.
Yet we couldn't create some of the stuff that was created. Literally,
yeah.
Some of the things that, and I've only ever mostly heard it in India, because we've toured so many times, but the palace is there, and when the guides show you, and then they created this and then this, like there's there's one whole place where they've got all the different ways to measure the weather. It's like the sundials and stuff, but yeah, simplest things like that. They knew how, see, everything worked without machinery, without technology, without, these were clever minds.
Yeah. And very, very skilled as well.
Very.
And what about giants?
Oh, I don't know. Giants.
I don't know either. I've heard that, you know, they might be kicking around. Not big and scary like we're told, but who knows? It's like I'm open to anything now. It's like, it's just, I don't know. And again, this is what we need to surrender to, that we don't know. We're just digging and finding out stuff.
We know, well, we think we know a tiny little glimpse, a tiny little fraction of what exists or is out there or what is possible. Oh, it could just like go on for ages, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Questioning everything that you think you know or been taught. And like back to religion as well. Like, I don't even know how to start with religion. It's always been something that I've never been sure of. I think I'm more spiritual than religious, but then what I do like about like my religion, like if I was to say I'm a Hindu, is that it is very spiritual in that they do talk about what we see in life as just a big life is an illusion. Like we don't, you know,
Yeah,
we don't know the reality. So
yeah. I
I
love
feel
that. I
like,
didn't realise that.
yeah, there's it's very, I don't know enough about my religion at all. We weren't really taught anything about it. It's a very almost a bit like fantasy mystical kind of, you know, I mean there's that many gods and they're doing things. It's all based on astrology, and that's why I kind of do almost believe it, because it is based on the universe and the stars, and I don't know. But yeah, they do. There's something about life as we see it is an illusion.
I love that. I love that because from what I've learned, or what I think I've learned, so obviously I got brought up Christian. And so for me, when I learn all this stuff, like what's going on in the world and the White Hat Alliance and off-world help, I'm like, how can that be if there's a big God who talks with a really deep voice and really big and scary? What are aliens? And what's the hierarchy like? Is God over the aliens? You know, and honestly, it was like, what on earth? This is massive for me, massive cognitive dissonance, because I was like, how does this work? But I've always felt, as much as I didn't believe the religions, because, you know, it's just all bullshit. It's just all bullshit, you know. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but I've always felt like there's something looking after me. I remember as a little girl, if I were getting bullied at school or something, I would say a little prayer and I would always be looked after. I always believed that I was being looked after. And I've even said this to my husband as well, because my husband got brought up Jehovah's Witness. He was dragged to the, you know, Jehovah's Witness hall every week. And he's totally turned his back on religion as well, but we always believed that there was something. So for me, I've come to the realization that there is something, there is an energy, there is a source, you know. Do we call it spirit? Do we call it God? Do we call it source? Do we call it creator? There is an energy, and we are all a part of that energy. We are all connected to this energy. And as terms of like prophets, Muhammad, Jesus, Archangel Michael, I don't know what the different ones are, but I think there's a lot of truth in really ancient scriptures. Like I think Jesus wasn't called Jesus, he was called Yeshua, and he did come to try and help us to manifest, understand our powers, all of this amazing stuff, as well as other teachers have come. But because the people at the top got the information, hid it all under the Vatican, gave us versions of the Bible, this, that, and the other, filled with fear, and only a little bit of the actual truth is in there. But yeah, it's like
the way
another,
it's been distributed, hasn't it?
yeah,
So I do believe it's almost like these prophets, whatever you want to call them, believe them. Maybe they did come to try and give us the right messages,
yeah,
but those messages have got messed around
totally,
with,
yeah,
distorted, and like you say, especially Christianity, and I suppose some of the others as well. It all, like you say, plays on fear.
yeah, oh
Let's
yeah,
scare them
yeah,
rather than show them what's possible.
yeah.
Um,
It's another
and
divide and
that is
conquer.
yeah, but that is why I do like my religion, because it's not about fear.
Yeah,
There's less fear in Hinduism. It is more about that spiritual. I don't even know, because I don't know enough about it myself, and I tried to read the book and it's too big. But it is a book that a lot of like non-Hindus have read because of the message in there. It's just a really difficult read, and that's why like it's so connected to like yogic philosophy is from the Hindu scriptures,
yeah.
and that is all about just
It's
being at one.
for me, I never realised that about Hinduism. I just assumed. I mean, my dad dragged me out of my RE lessons when I was at school. I was always the kid sat out in the corridor because he didn't want me learning about any other bad, evil religions, because Jesus is the only way. So I didn't know that, but I love that, because what I've realised now is that, you know, meditation and connecting and blocking out your thoughts and just giving you letting your thoughts pass and letting the messages come in and guide you, and that is the way forward, just having that connection. And anyone can do this. You don't need to be an expert at it. Taking your shoes and socks off and connecting with the earth grounds you and just helps you to discern what's all the noise that's going on around you. And like you say, the fear thing, it's like the people that we know that are entwined into religion, you must do this, you have to do this, you're going to die and go to hell, and you're going to do that. It's like, no, no God or creator of love, which they say this God is of love, no being like that would be threatening you to do this stuff, you know? We came here for an abundant world. We came here to be abundant and to live with joy and happiness. And yes, we have let dark rule us. We have let dark rule us because we didn't rise up and we didn't question these things when came in. And yeah, I know they came in before we actually had our time on earth, but that's turning now. And now we're coming into this time where light is going to rule, where we are going to be abundant, and we are going to have we're going to be able to live our life as we intended when we chose to come here during this time, which is going to be amazing.
You just, like, as you talk, all these little things coming into my head about things that are going to be happening and things I can do. And you know, I'm going to India not next month, November.
Okay.
And I am there for 5 weeks. My Reiki teacher, who taught me Reiki last year and taught my dad Reiki, and she messaged us all, she's going to be there. I'm going to get to meet her, and she literally is somebody who is very, like, obviously she does Reiki, but she's into all of the energy healing and the way she talks about spiritual world. Sometimes it's so intense I lose half. When she was teaching me, we did Reiki for about 2.5 weeks, intense, every day on Zoom for about 3-4 hours a day. So it was a lot of information for me to take in, but I can't wait to see her because I'm going to get to, like, talk to her about all these things, because I'm pretty sure she'll be like, yeah, I don't know what she believes in fully, but I know she's all about the whole, you know, source energy and the different lives and our souls and all of that stuff. And
she will, because she'll be getting downloads as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, we are literally being divinely led to information and people that we're supposed to be meeting now. The amount of things that have happened in my life these past few weeks are absolutely amazing. You couldn't make it up. It's just miracle after miracle, leading me to the right people. Just having the conversation with you today, and us to be able to have this conversation, which will hopefully help other people on their journey and to open their minds and realize that questioning things is okay, you know. Yeah, it's just bonkers. I forgot what I was going to say.
Literally, like, yesterday I was driving into Birmingham with my mum, and Laura was sat there wanting to say something to her, wanting to ask her, and I was like, how do I break? And then I suddenly said, oh mum, you know how, like, people come into your lives? Well, you know, I told you about that lady that came while you were in India, and then I had those sessions that took me into my past life. I said, well, I was talking to my friend Laura, and she said this, and I told her about what we thought about the Queen in the coffin. And my mum was just like, oh yeah, like, so open to, I didn't say too much, completely open to it, almost as if she's known all along and just didn't say anything. And I was just sat there going, I was there scared of bringing the subject up, and she was like totally on board. It was weird.
It's just bonkers. I love as well, like, you know, you've been trained to do Reiki healing. I've never even heard about energy healing. I've never heard about any of this spiritual stuff before, you know, before this last year or two. And like I mentioned, my friend Carla, and she's so intuitive. She just channels messages. She's amazing. And I was like, get your ass together and get your work out there, because people need it. I mean, I've been following channels now for years, desperate to get information, like, what's my purpose, why am I here, what's the bigger picture for me, and she just did, like, readings for me, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing, like, totally blow my brain. So I've you know, hopefully she's totally running with it now, and stepping into what her true calling is. And you are exactly the same, because you're going to be so needed what you're doing in your business. And I'm going to post all your links as well on the bottom of this video so people can find Shana. But just tell everybody more about you.
Oh God, what I do. I mean, like, the coaching thing is the main, you know, I just literally I've been trying to help women just remove all the conditioning, change it, get rid of everything that isn't serving them, the things that we are scared of, the things that hold us back, so they can literally, like you keep saying, live a life that is meant for them, that we are all meant to be living. And I say women because I'm drawing from my own experiences, and I feel like I understand where females do. I'm not going to lie. We have it it's very different. I think we have the tough road when it comes to going off and doing what we want to do. So that is what I do coaching wise. I am a Reiki healer, and weirdly, I can't remember if I told you when I got taught Reiki last year, I learnt it all. And then my dad was like, "Oh, so when are you going to start healing people?" I was like, that doesn't feel right to me. He said, "What do you mean? We've just," because he wanted me to do the course as well, so he paid for it all. It's like, "So you're not going to use it?" I said, "No, it's not that I'm not going to use it. I don't know what called me to learn it, but I know I needed to learn it. I know I needed to have this skill. I know I needed to know everything there is to do about it. But I don't think I'm here to heal people. I think I'm here to educate. I think I'm here to share what I know about it, not physically do the healing." I said, "That's not for me." And my dad was so confused. And then I spoke to my Reiki teacher. I was like, "Dad keeps trying to get me to heal people, and I don't." He said, "You do what you need to do with it. There is a reason you came to me. I know that you wanted to learn this. Hold on to it, and your reason for learning it will come to light when it comes to light. It's fine. Don't worry." And I feel like it was a whole year before I started to bring it into my
Yeah.
coaching and my content. But I'm starting to dig a lot deeper into like accessing our past lives and all sorts of things, because I'm just basically now all about us reconnecting to our souls and our soul purpose and what we are here for.
Yeah.
We are not here for what we think we're here for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is definitely not going to work every day 9 to 5 just to get money to eat
Yeah.
and have 2 holidays a year, or whatever it is that life is.
100%. Their children have just got me. Oh, sorry. Go on, carry on. I've cut you off there.
Yeah, no, you froze for a second. I wasn't sure what you said.
Oh, the kids walked through the door, so
Right.
I probably should go because they're going to
Okay.
start
No, that's cool.
wanting my attention. But thank you so much. I have loved our chats. Thank you. And
It's all right. I've had
yeah,
fun, and I'm sure we will talk again soon.
we absolutely will. And I will catch you very soon.
All right, take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye, my love.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.